Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome along to the Level Up training event for this week. Might just stop this share for a sec. There we go. I'm super excited about the topic today because it's one of those questions that I throw around a lot. I've got young kids. Most of you guys know I've got young kids, and my whole thing is question everything. We always should question everything. And when I was young, and I see it a lot now, where kids are always like, why, but why? And then it's like parents are like, well, just because, like that it ends up getting to the point where you're almost snapping. And in my experience, just because is never a good enough reason to do or not do anything. The question why can dig up lots of different important things. And so in this business in particular, we talk about our why a lot. Why are we here? Why did we decide to partner with the company? And how important is that to us? And so we're going to touch on that at the end, and I'm going to go through a couple of things that you can, I guess, more questions that you can ask yourself to really dig down on your why, and really get it into every single cell of your body as to why you're here and how important that is to you, because that's what pushes us. This business, along with anything worthwhile, right? Life is always busy. I look at the day and age that we live in and the amount of convenience that we have. Like this, for instance, people on here from all over the world. People will be watching this recording from all over the world, and we're sitting in the comfort of our own homes. It's like convenience is insane, right? I look at just washing our clothes. How convenient and easy it is to wash and dry our clothes now compared to what my parents did when they were young, or compared to what their parents did when they were young. And I sort of think, how the hell did people get anything done when doing the washing used to take them half a day? Doing the washing now is like 5 minutes to load it in, sort it and load it in, 5 minutes to hang it out. It would be like half a day's work to do that same load of washing, for my grandparents' say. And so the 24 hours, we've all had the same 24 hours in the day. And so, filling those up is something that we always do. And so, man, I've just gone down a crazy rabbit hole like I usually do on another topic. But what I'm getting at is why we're here is the important thing, because life's busy anyway. We're filling up those 24 hours with stuff, with things, and some of them are really important. Some of them are minors, I guess, and not so important. And so that's why it's important to have some awareness around, why we're here and what we're doing. So I'm going to get back into sharing this screen. And if you've got any questions or anything, you can chuck them in the chat or hold them to the end, and we can do some Q&A type stuff. And so we'll get into it. So why? The question why? Why Kyani? So these are the whys I'm going to cover right now, and this is my view on it. After having been in business for close to 2 decades now, and having been a part of Kyani for a little bit over 6 years. So why Kyani? Why now? As in the timing of where we're at, and then our own why. So this is the flow in which we're going to go through today. So why Kyani? So you can see on the screen there, the founding families behind Kyani. I think Kyani as a company is one of the most unique things that I've ever seen in my life. And it stems from these 2 families here, the Hanson family, which you've got Rebecca and the late Kirk Hanson, and then late Jim Hanson and Leanne, and then you've got the Taylor family, and you've got Linda and Carl Taylor. Now, these families are very, very successful families, second-generation business owners, billion-dollar families, crazy successful. And so when would you find a situation where people with the track record like these 2 families get together to create something purely to make a difference? Like, seriously, purely to make a difference. When would you get to partner with and work with billion-dollar families? Like, think about wherever you are around the world. I'm originally obviously from Australia, so I'll use Australia for an example. You know, if I think about the Packer family, you know, billion-dollar family, Kerry Packer passed away now, James Packer, you know, keeping the legacy going. What's the odds of me going into James Packer's office and going, hey, I'd love to partner with you guys, and you know, distribute your product or whatever they've got, right? And say, so I don't want to do anything. I don't want to, you know, invest a massive amount of cash up front. I don't want to have to take care of any of the research and development or the logistics or the admin, any of those overhead running costs. I don't want anything to do with any of that. But what I want to do is I want to keep more than half the revenue that goes through. Can we shake on that and make that a deal? Like, you'd be laughed out of the office, right? But that's exactly what these families have created. And it comes down to their mission, the mission to bring hope, the promise of a better life through wellness and opportunity. And the last 12 months in particular, I've like, I don't know, this is just part of me now, this mission statement, because I've just had this realization as to how important hope is. There's so many people that have had their hopes shattered, and you know, there's not a promise of a better life. You know, a lot of people are in the situation where they're feeling like the best of their life is now behind them, and the future is not going to be as bright or as prosperous as the past. That's tragic, right? So these families have set something up where they are not taking any income out of this business. The whole business doesn't exist to finance their lifestyle, to get them further ahead in life. It exists to change people's lives, to positively impact people's lives. And they've set it up in a certain way that at every angle that you turn, every rock you look under, every corner you look around, this business has a positive impact, you know, from the sourcing of the ingredients and how they do that in a responsible, sustainable way, to, you know, the processing and, you know, right down to us at the end consumer and distributor. So I believe, and there may be another situation out there like this. I haven't seen it. So this is why this was such a unique thing for me when I had it shared with me for the first time. And the question was, okay, who are these people? Why did they start Kyani? Why does it exist? It blew my mind. So not only is that very unique, but can you imagine this? A gentleman by the name of Mark Davenport, who is in the top 0.08% of the world's most successful people. Can you believe that? 7 billion people in the world, a guy who's come from quite humble beginnings, and built himself up to be one of the most successful people on the planet in terms of a percentage. He has created more financial success in his life than you know, most companies would ever, and it was able to retire himself, you know, at 40, basically in his 40s, and you know, never have to lift a finger for the rest of his life if he didn't want to. Now, this gentleman got exposed to Kyani's products to help him with his training. You know, when you perform at a peak in one area of your life, chances are you're going to have those high standards, you know, move through into other areas of your life. And so Mark competes in ultra marathons, and he's a professional Muay Thai fighter now. And so he has exceptionally high standards in everything he does. And he's had a few injuries along the way, and somebody shared the Kyani products with him, and they blew his mind. Then from a business point of view, you know, that entrepreneur, when you've got that entrepreneurial blood flowing through your veins, that never goes to sleep. And so he's like, there's a real business opportunity here. These products are so good and nobody knows anything about them. I've never heard of them. I've shared them with people and they've come back to me wanting more. So he goes and meets Kirk Hansen at the time and falls in love with Kirk Hansen, his vision, his mission, with Mark's experience from business, coming from basically starting from scratch in business and making his way up to be, you know, mega successful. We're talking doing 500 million plus in annual turnover. He has, and if you ever get the chance to sit with Mark and have a chat, you should absolutely ask him a few of his stories around business, because It is a scary place. It is full of corruption and dodgy goings-ons that happen. And he hates it. He says to me often that business is a place where the good guy gets slaughtered. The good guy comes in and gets broken as a person and gets bankrupt in a financial way. And when we look at statistics around when the average person in business, I don't know why anyone goes into business, because the odds are stacked so far against us. So when Mark found Kyani and the vision, the mission, the system, the products, he just loved everything he saw about it. The products had changed his life, changed his family's life, but he saw a place where the good guy can win. And in his words, when you found something as good as Kyani is in every way, when you wake up in the morning, it's an obligation to go and share this, because he knows what it can do for people. He knows that people are hoping, begging, and praying for what we have from a product point of view and a business point of view. So I go, what are the chances of an individual finding this company like that, who don't have to do a thing for money for the rest of their lives, but they've got the same vision and mission and that common drive behind them? It's literally like a needle in a haystack type scenario. And I can't believe we're in a situation where this has come about. So that alone tells me that, this is one of the reasons why Kyani is so unique, and why I'm confident, probably in the rest of my life even, that I will never find another situation where people like this find each other with that common driver. And then when we look at what happens over and above that, and this stems because no one's taking any money out, to finance themselves. It will finance or reward their shareholders. When you look at most companies in our industry, the motivation behind starting the company is generating some wealth for the owners, or generating some dividends for the shareholders. Kyani pay out more than any other company in the industry, as a percentage, obviously, because we're not as big as some of the companies, but we pay out more in commissions as a percentage than any other company in the industry. And we can do that because there's more fat left in the deal, because the owners or the shareholders aren't taking profit out of the business. That's not why they're here, right? So we've got the highest quality products in the world. Again, the situation that came about to create these products, where you had these $2 billion families get exposed to some of the ingredients in our product range now, and have those ingredients change their lives. And I guess when you've got very deep pockets, you can source a lot of things that the average person can't. Things like wild Alaskan sockeye salmon, things like the wild Alaskan blueberry, a couple of our key ingredients. Things like noni concentrate. The average person can't source these things because they don't have the finances behind them. But when you find, families like the Hansons and the Taylors, who have sourced these ingredients and said, man, everybody needs to be able to get these products. Everybody needs the chance to close that healthy living gap from where they are to where they want to be. Let's get these into some products and set it up in such a way where the average person can get them, because they're going to make such a big difference to people's health and well-being. So the average nutritional product out there exists because people see a demand and see an opportunity to go and generate income off of that demand. So they produce a product as cheap as they can do it, cutting the corners, cutting the cost down so that it's viable for them to produce. And then they'll try and mark it up and sell it to a point, I guess, where they can sell the largest amount that they can and generate an income. Our products exist purely to make a difference. There's no corners cut in the raw ingredients and the sourcing and the formulation of those products. They're produced to be as potent and as effective as they can, regardless of the cost. Like, let's not look at the cost. Let's look at the potency and the effectiveness first, and then let's take them to the market as cheap as we can, so that the majority of people that want this can get their hands on it. So, that just doesn't happen. I was buying my Omegas that I was buying before Kyani, cost me $185 just for the Omegas. And if I was lucky, it would last me a month. I'd have to, not take as much as I wanted to last me a month. It's insane that we can get the complete triangle of health for that. So minimal risk. When I look at business, when I look at getting out there and generating some extra income, think about your own journey here and your own experience. Usually with a large upside comes a lot of risk. Now, with Kyani, we can generate any sort of size income we want based on what we're willing to put in here, without potentially going bankrupt, without potentially losing everything. The cryptocurrency world is on fire right now again because Bitcoin's blowing up. Now, as much as Bitcoin has blown up over the last few months, it's done this before and it's crashed so many times. So, there's risk. There's risk there. Yes, you could double, triple, quadruple your money. And some people have, but then some people have gone and mortgaged the house or maxed out a credit card. And then it's divided their capital by, 6 or 7. So there's massive risk involved. I don't know of a business that I can get in that's turnkey, that I can, run globally. And if it fails completely, that I haven't lost anything. I've gotten healthy in the process. It blows my mind. So why now? Timing, as the picture says there, timing is everything. But being in the right place at the right time is never enough. I've heard lots of people say over the years, oh, that person was just in the right place at the right time. But you know what? And this could be with anything. It's that person had some awareness, because when they were in the right place at the right time, so were thousands of other people that walked on by. There's a statistic that I read, and I can't remember where I read this, but the statistic went along the lines of the average person is in front of 2 opportunities per 30 days that could make $1 million for them. So it could make them a millionaire. The average person's in front of 2 every 30 days. But if you don't have awareness, you're just going to walk right by it. So why now? Like, the world's changing rapidly. The world's been changing faster and faster and faster. As I said at the beginning here, look how the washing was done just a few decades ago compared to now, right? But look at the last 12 months. Sometimes change is brought on by innovation and inspiration and drive, and sometimes it's forced upon us. In the last 12 months, a lot of the changes, a lot of the innovation, a lot of the the new things that have come into the marketplace have been forced upon us because of a pandemic. So if the world is changing fast and we're not changing with it, then we are going to be left behind. Think about, I don't know, what's a real good example here? So think about the camera industry. Think about digital cameras, and think about companies that were selling film. I don't even know if you can still buy film. You probably could, because, there's those hardcore people that would always say, like, vinyls, the sound on vinyl, you'll never beat it. And so there's records available. Whereas, I don't know, I find that hard to grasp that concept. And there's probably those same sort of people with film. But at the end of the day, digital photography decimated, the film industry. Phones like Nokia. When I was young, probably my first 10 phones were Nokias. I don't even know if Nokia exists anymore. So if everything's changing so fast and you're not changing with it, you're going to be left behind. If we're not growing, we're dying. It's simply a universal law. So Kyani's evolving as well. So yes, the world's changing, and we need to be evaluating our own situation and go, okay, what can we do to set ourselves up to fare the best we can in this rapidly changing world? But Kyani as a company, they are going, okay, we are looking to grow. We are looking to rapidly grow over the next couple of years. And, we believe that now's the time to do it. So they're evolving with their products, as you guys would see wherever you are around the world. Chances are that you've either gotten some new products or there's some new products coming down the pipeline that's going to allow us to spread our reach into more households, impact people's lives in lots of other ways from a healthy living point of view. But also from a technology point of view. Behind the scenes, Kyani are continually working to, improve the technology and so forth behind the scenes, the artificial intelligence, the bot stuff, and, platforms like what we have here with Zoom. Kyani are working on developing lots of things to take the company to the level where they want to be and beyond. They're doing that with staff. Getting the best of the best, bringing on new vice presidents of the company that have an amazing track record and a lot of experience. So the company is absolutely evolving, but they've got the solid foundation, because there's companies that started yesterday that are evolving. And like I've said, with a changing world, if you're not reinventing, if you're not moving with the times, if you're not evolving, you're going to get left behind. So a company that started yesterday is probably evolving and changing and tweaking things along the way. But as I said, they started yesterday, and the statistics in business that they're going to be around 12 months from now is like the odds are not in their favor. What's broken my heart a few times over the years with Kyani is that some of my great business partners have that have had success here and had a great residual income coming in. They've built a great team. They've got a great business. The shiny object syndrome, that carrot dangling of the brand new company that's coming out, and they've got a chance to be one of the first people in that company in a marketplace, and they go, the opportunity is too good to refuse. I need to be a part of this. And they walk away from their Kyani business to go and be one of the first in a brand new company. And I've seen it probably 5 or 6 times, and not one of those companies, and I'm serious now, not one of them still exists. And my heart bleeds for them, because I know what they've walked away from. Kyani have all of the upside of a brand new company, an evolving company, a cutting edge company, but have hardly any of that risk that usually comes with that, because the company is so financially solid, because it's been around for 13 years, because we have success stories with the business, because we have success stories with the product. The chances of this going on now to be one of the most powerhouse companies in the industry are great. The chances are fantastic, because it's past that teething age. It's past that even that, I guess, that adolescent age now, and it's coming into that young adulthood as a company. Now, if I'm going to partner with a company, I want to know that the work I'm going to do isn't going to be a waste of time, that the company disappears. So the chances of Kyani disappearing are slim to none. So to have a solid foundation like that to be able to build on is remarkable. Now, when I say about having the size of the upside of a startup, but the solid foundation, here's a really great example. When I got started in this business, when my sponsors got started in this business, when their sponsors got started in this business, the company had been going for 7 years in Australia. 7 years. So, did we have to be first in this company? Absolutely not. There were hundreds or thousands of people in the business before us in that 7 years. Did those people have awareness that they were in the right place at the right time? Maybe, maybe not. Was the company too young to be able to go and build something that could, take fast growth and retain it? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I wasn't there. I can't comment on that. But what I can comment is we've managed to build the most solid organization that Kyani has within Australia, and it was 7 years down the track. The $1 million earners in Kyani in Australia got started 7 years after the company had got started. You would think, in the way this industry traditionally works, that the people that are the $1 million earners were the first ones that started. So the business model makes sense. And I've got a bit of a cliche saying that I've stolen from a great friend of mine: if it makes sense, it usually makes dollars. And all of this stuff makes so much sense to me that I can't ignore it. And that's why I wanted to share some of this stuff now, because yes, the company's great. Yes, we've had some great results over the years, but now is the time that, you know, the demand for our products has gone next level. People need to be doing something to give their body what it needs to increase their own immunity and keep them safe in a pretty crazy world right now. Everything, as I explained here, with the world changing so fast. But I stop and I look and I say, okay, where does the average person get the opportunity to generate an extra income without that risk that usually comes along with it? Where can the average person go out and add an extra 4, 5, 6, or 7 figures of income annually to their bottom line? It doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist. I don't, and I've been around, as I said, nearly 20 years in business. I'm talking now around about 13 years in the online space, as well as traditional. You know, affiliate marketing, network marketing, drop shipping, e-commerce, you name it, I've done it. And I've never been able to have the success that I've had here with Kyani. If I always say, if I can do it, anyone can do it. So what are our other options? You know, we nowadays, the one income scenario, like my parents just had a job their whole lives. And, you know, they've gotten through to retirement and they're really, really comfortable, and they've got a great life. That's not an option anymore. You know, the one income strategy is such a risky strategy. You know, people think going out there and starting a business, or you know, starting something part-time is risky. I think going and doing nothing is more risky than anything right now. And okay, what does the average person have up their sleeve that they can go and do? You know, have they gone and gotten another skill set over and above what their employment skill set is? You know, probably not. You know, yes, they can go and get some training and do some courses and all of that sort of stuff, but there's a lot of time involved in that, and there's also a lot of money involved in that. Where can you go and build a business and get trained the whole time while you're building the business, earn while you learn? Maybe you came in and you're the superstar that's ready to blow it up, or maybe you came in like I did 10, 12 years ago into this industry, and had to learn it. And then I'm just fortunate that the right company came along when I already had some of those skills down. So there's not a lot of options for people like you and I. If we want to, you know, get a 20% pay rise, how can we do that? If we want to get a 50% pay rise, if we want to double our income, if we want to triple our income, what are our options? And, you know, does the average person, you know, have the resources to be able to do that? I would suggest not. I would suggest that the average person would never find anything close to what Kyani can do for them anywhere else. So the last bit before I wrap up the training and answer any questions, if you guys have any, is our why. You know, we talk about our why so often, but I don't think a lot of us really grasp how important our why is. You know, there's lots of cliches in the industry. If your why doesn't make you cry and all this sort of stuff, it's like, it's not important. You know, I don't know. Since I've been in Kyani, I'm a crier. Before Kyani, I don't think I was. I don't know. Something's changed me for sure. Some of the stories I've seen here and the emotional journey that I've had, it's been crazy. But I guess our why we do anything is so important. You know, the motivation behind it. You know, a lot of people in the early days for me building this business, you know, the people around me, my tight circle, knew I was extremely time poor. And they'd say, how have you got time for this? How are you fitting this in? How can you do something else? You know, how can you take more time away from your kids? Or how? And it's like, I would always say, don't ask me how, ask me why. And they'd sort of look at me with this strange face. And I would always say something along the lines of, if your why is strong enough, the how, you just make it happen. You know, and as humans, we're always going to do more for people we love and we care about than we're ever going to do for ourselves. You know, think about that. Think about something as simple as, let's say, going to the gym and working out. You know, that's for us, that's for ourselves. And how many times have you planned to go to the gym and then, you know, as it's getting closer, you're like, stuff it, won't go today. But what if one of your great friends or a family member or something, what if you had organized to meet someone there at say 7 o'clock? Then even though you didn't want to go, you would still go because you didn't want to let that person down. So a lot of us are happy to let ourselves down, but we don't want to let others down. So if our why ties in other people that we love and care about, I believe it's even more powerful than it's just for ourselves. You know, a lot of the whys I hear thrown around are, you know, I guess from a business perspective, financial freedom. People want financial freedom. And I sort of think, you know, that, yeah, that's a great why, but you need to go a bit deeper than that. You know, what is financial freedom? You know, a lot of people don't really want the word, the sentence, the phrase, whatever, financial freedom. They want what they think their life will be like if they were financially free. You know, the people that they could hang with, the places they could go, the time that they can spend with loved ones, the experiences that they can have together. And so you've got to dig a little bit deeper than just that first initial thing. And then what I would suggest is working through a process and going, okay, why am I here? You know, what do I really want to achieve here? You know, what does my dream life look like? What does it look like where I wake up every day incredibly grateful for who I am, where I'm at, what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. You know, get really descriptive on that, and then work out why. You know, why is that so important? Why did you choose that? How important is that to you that you create that in your life? Because I've also seen people quit on their why. You know, I've seen people that say they get started here in this business and they go, okay, I've gotten started here because I want to be able to put my children through a really expensive private school that we can't afford right now. And that's a pretty good why. But then I've seen people quit on it because, sorry, they quit on it. So it's sort of like, well, you know, maybe that wasn't so important. So maybe they were telling them something that, you know, maybe a third party, maybe it was their parents that were like, man, you really should get your kids into a great school. And so it was somebody else's why, and not their own. So, you know, you want to think about why you're here and why have you chosen that? You know, why is that so important to you? What's life going to be like if you don't achieve that? That's the best question ever. You know, what's it look like in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, 15, 20, 40, whatever it is, if you don't go and achieve your why? Then if you feel sick in the stomach like that, if you feel trapped, if there's angst around it, then I think you've nailed your why. You know, for me, it was my kids and my wife. I got to hardly see them at all. And so early in this business, and I've shared my story with a lot of you, but, you know, I'm working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, you know, like every week. I'm serious. The shortest week I worked, listen to this, from 16 years old to 35 years old, the least hours I did in a week were 55. 55, that's average 11 hours a day, 5 days a week. That was my shortest from 16 to 35. So most of my weeks were a lot longer than that. Some of them were crazy. I don't even know. I look back now, I don't even know how I survived. And some of them I almost didn't. I got myself really sick, just by, you know, burning the candle at both ends. And so it was so important to me to get some extra income coming in so I could cut back on the hours. One, because I was aging myself and my health was suffering badly. Two, because I never got to spend time with the people that I loved. You know, nobody knew me at the girls at Denver's childcare or Morgan's school. Nobody knew me. I was like, I had to pick up the kids one day and I had to get Beck to ring up because they weren't going to let the kids go with me because it was like, who are you? Crazy, right? So that was so important to me that on the days where, and it's, you know, consistency wins in building this business. So there were days where I had worked 16 hours or more in the building industry, and I'm a part of Kyani, right? And I come home and all I wanted to do was eat, shower, and go to bed because I had to be back up at like 5 a.m. And it would be like, I've got to go and do something. And I would do some Kyani work and then I would get stuck in the momentum and the excitement of it because I was passionate about it, because it was moving me towards my why. And then eventually I would go to bed, sleep maybe 2.5, 3 hours, get up, get in the car, and every time I put the keys in the ignition, I'd set little reminders for my why. I'd have it written down and I'd read it multiple times a day, but I would also set little reminders. And starting the car for me and driving away from the house while Beck and the kids were still asleep was the reminder. It's like, this is one less day you're going to have to do this if you keep it up. Keep it up. Don't be weak. Don't give in, because at the end of the tunnel, this is all going to be worth it. And so, I reflect on my life now, and I get to spend almost every moment of life with my wife and with my kids. We have breakfast, lunch, and dinner together every single day. The kids are homeschooled in the guest house up the back. Beck and I work together on Kyani and, any little project that we're doing, building a greenhouse. It's the most amazing thing ever. Now, if I look at what's done that for me is Kyani, right? Kyani's made my why become a reality. But here's where the stumbling block can trip us again, because when we go and achieve our why, that's what was driving us, and it's easy to stop. So that's where our why needs to evolve. We need to audit our why, and we're looking at it regularly. And as we're getting closer to it, to achieving it, if we want to continue to grow and contribute, we've got to evolve our why. I've seen people have crazy whys here, and they're building a great business, and then they achieve their why, and then they disappear. That might be fine in their world, but for me, I always want to keep going. How far can I go in this business? What can we do? Can we change the world completely? I think with everything that's lined up as the why that I've shared with you guys today, in terms of why the company, why now, and our own why, I don't think there's been a better time in history for Kyani as a company to really change the world. We are in a very unique time, and that's why I wanted to get this presentation together, and just highlight a couple of things. I'm really interested to keep it down in terms of time, because I could literally talk on every one of these topics and more for the entire day. But hopefully you've got some value out of this and some awareness around why this is such a unique time, why we do have such a unique group of people in leadership behind the company. And hopefully you can get some great clarity around your own why, as to why you're here. Why is that important to you? How badly do you want that? And what's life like if you don't achieve that? Because we're motivated by either moving towards the pleasure of that why, or avoiding the pain of not achieving that why. So I always like to highlight both. So hopefully there's been some value in there. I'll stop the share now. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to jump in and answer any. If you want to share your own why as well, I'm absolutely would love to hear it. I know that can be a little bit personal as well, but yeah. Anyone brave enough? Mel? Oh, hang on. What have I done here? I might have hard muted everyone. Let me. Okay, oops, hang on. You should be able to take yourself off mute now.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Awesome. That was really good, Mike. Thanks for all that.
No
so you started off in this industry like 10 or more years ago, whether it was like affiliate, dropshipping, e-commerce, whatever that is.
Yep.
I know it's your why that kept you going, but all that time within different industries and stuff, how did you keep going and keep learning and stuff for that 10 years before you found Kyani?
Yeah, good question. I was actually having a phone conversation with a person who's about to enroll in this business as well, and he asked me that exact question on the phone conversation, which made me think this guy's going to be a great business partner. And there's lots and lots of little ones, but the biggest thing for me, and I'm trying to word this in a way that's politically correct, angry. Like, I was so angry with where I was at and the price that I was paying every day, and it was that anger and disgust that pushed me to go and do other things. You know, continually, again, having awareness, looking at, hang on, I'm going to go back another step as well. So when I was young, and I don't know exactly how old, 11, 12, 13, I had this realization that the people that were leading the lifestyle that I wanted to lead were business owners. And I don't know why. I didn't get it from my family, my parents, or anything like that. Somehow I must have had some experience somewhere. And so for me, I was like, from that age, I was going to be a business owner. Now, I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed at 11. I'm still not the sharpest tool in the shed. And I didn't narrow that down enough. Business owner is a pretty big umbrella. And now, and I was having this conversation just last night with Beck, some of my close family friends who are business owners were strangers to their family. I would not change life with them at all. They were stressed, anxious, depressed, time poor, frustrated, their health was suffering, all of that. They're in that business owner category. So the business owner category is big, but there's a small slither of it that I would trade places with, if that makes sense. So yes, I pushed to get into traditional business, and that's where I was. And when I started I didn't get success at the start. I had to get coaching and learn and personally develop. And, you know, I was good at doing the physical work, but I was lousy at business. So I had to get better at business, and I had to pay for that. Spent a lot of money and a lot of time on getting better at business. And then I got that business to be quite successful, but still, like, the light at the end of the tunnel was 40 years away. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way than this. I'm not gonna keep doing this for 40 years, because I've seen what that's like with some very close family friends, and I don't want to be there. So then I'm like, okay, well, what else can we do? And the whole time I'm just learning. And this is what we do. We fail our way forward, right? I wasn't getting where I wanted to be in traditional business. So then what are the business models that are giving that lifestyle, still under that business umbrella? And so that's where the internet changed the game for so many people. You know, outsourcing all of the risk, you know, outsourcing the research and development, not having to have credentials, you know, in terms of a certificate or something that gives you the credentials to be able to go and build the business. There's lots of these things out there. And so I'd start down this path. Then I'd you know, get a little sniff of results, but then there'd be that next roadblock, that next hurdle that stopped me from getting like major results. I'm talking income replacing results is what I was after, right? Not just 20 bucks here, 50 bucks there, and so forth. So I would continue to evolve. And as new information came to hand, as new experiences happened, as new failures taught me something, I would just shift, just change slightly, change slightly, change slightly. Now, that went on for 7 years. And I was at the end of that 7 years, I was done. I had lost faith in everything. I was ready to go back to the beginning. I was actually, and I can't believe I even thought this, I even thought about going and getting a job. Like, I hadn't had a job since I was 20, and I was about to go and get a job. And it was like, this is crazy. And that's when actually Janine, I can see her on the Zoom here, talked Rick into sharing this with me. Rick didn't even want to approach me because, you know, we were moving and all of this sort of stuff. And when I saw, when he approached me, I was like, absolutely not. Like, in my head, and I never said this, but it was like, absolutely not. None of these businesses work. Like, 7 years, I'm not talking like 7 weeks or 7 months. I'm talking 7 years, and total, I probably made $1,000 in everything that I did. These businesses don't work. And I need to go back to the drawing board. He mentioned that they're into like quality nutritional stuff, and so that was a big hook for me because that's something I'm passionate about. But then the other part is the curiosity, and it killed me because I wanted to know what I was saying no to. And then I watched the presentation, and from what I saw in the presentation, this business model combined all of the promising bits, all of the pieces that I liked about e-commerce, network marketing, affiliate marketing, drop shipping, all of those bits that were really attractive to me. And one of the reasons why I went into that space, Kyani had all of them. And then the things that frustrated me with a lot of those, Kyani had none of them, or hardly any of them. So I was like, this is too good not to be a part of it. And so again, it was the thing that kept driving me was the anger and the disgust. It's like, there's got to be a better way. The people who are kicking butt, the people that are, have you guys ever met someone who is living the most amazing life ever, and you meet them and get to actually know them a little bit, and you think they're no better than me? They're actually probably not quite as good as me, without sort of saying that. They don't have as much education, they don't have as much street smarts. Some of the most successful people that are out there, I'm talking mega successful, are like dyslexic people. And it's because that then becomes an advantage for them, because they have to outsource and get other people in that can, do things better than them and all of that. So it's got nothing to do with our background, our skills, our talents. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with our why, and that's what drives us. And usually when we get to a point where we're angry enough to go, that's it, never again. That's the bottom. There is just a school of about 5,000 fish that just jumped out right next to me here, and the dogs now are running to the beach to chase them. So that could be my buzzer to say, hey, wrap this up and get out there. But hopefully that helps, Mel. But that's the thing. And there's a price to pay. And I know John Maxwell says everything worthwhile is uphill. But that price to pay, so many times I thought I was crazy, especially in the 7 years before Kyani, when, friends were out doing things and I'm home trying to generate traffic to a landing page for dog obedience courses or whatever the hell I was doing at the time, right? And it's like, man, like, am I paying too big a price here? Should I be at the footy with my mates? Turns out that I probably could have gone to the footy there, but then I'd still be working absolutely myself to the bone, and I wouldn't be living the life that I'm living right now. So it's that anger, it's that disgust, and that frustration that drove me. It's reminded me now just of a guy, Jim Rohn. If you haven't heard of Jim Rohn, he's phenomenal, and his story, the turning point in his life of anger, disgust, and frustration was when a girl guide knocked at the door selling cookies, and he didn't have $2 to buy the cookies, and his life changed badly from that day, like rapidly changed, and it was as simple as that. Cool. Anyone else got anything?
Can I ask a question, Mike?
Yeah.
Like with all I know you've got so many business partners and you've met so many people along the way, and we know that a big part of this business is the why, but it's also being really focused on developing ourselves and individuals, and waking up every day and being focused and having that plan every day. What would you say, with all the people that you've met, what would you say is the biggest barrier that you've come across with individuals that don't succeed?
Yeah. So you said a couple of things there that just triggered a lot with me. So the last part of the question I'll answer last, but the biggest driver, how we work out our why, right? Like I said, work out what our why is. For me, it was time with my wife and my kids. But what's going to give me that? It was money. And so, the personal development, the relationships, caring hands, the impact you have with the products, all of that, I did not care a thing about any of that at the beginning, because I needed to sort the money side out, because I was useless to everyone unless I got that part sorted out first. So I was just laser focused on dollars. It was, I need money coming in, over and above what I'm earning in my full-time job. And then once I got to that situation, then all of those other things were amazing. That it's actually what's keeping me going the most now is the people I've met, the relationships, the personal development, the person I've become in the process. It's infinitely more valuable than the money. But you hear anyone who says that has the money box ticked, because I remember an interview with a golfer who was putting for, it was like $7 million or $9 million or something, the end of this crazy tournament. And he had a 6-foot putt to sink for the money. And at the press conference, they're like, oh, you know, what are the nerves like around, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, nerves? Putting for a $9 million putt when you're already extremely wealthy is nothing. It's putting for $20 when you're broke. That's where the nerves come in. And so that's what it was like for me in the business. It was like, I had to absolutely focus on the money to keep me moving. So what is the thing that holds a lot of people back in my experience with the people that I've worked with? It's that they're not hungry enough. You know, comfort kills. Absolutely, comfort kills. And I was at such a point of discomfort that I wasn't going to be like the people that I had seen in my industry or in small business. I was like, I would rather, you know what I had a small group of people that I was working with from really early days. Like I'm talking within the first couple of weeks of me being in the business, first month of being in the business. And our group was called Get Diamond or Die Trying. Because for me, that it was like, besides the fact that it was like taking the name from a 50 Cent album that was pretty big back in the day, it was almost like that. It was like, well, if I don't get it here, where else am I going to get it? Like, I'm talking years of work for just being on the treadmill, going around in circles like a mouse on a wheel. So I was like, man, I'm going to make it work here, or I'm going to die trying. And it's that motivation, you know, and that push. That reminds me of Will Smith when he's such and competitiveness, right? So I'm a bit competitive with stuff as well. And so, you know, the amount of people that had told me to give up on my dreams, basically, you know, with working on side hustles, producing this, having these goals, having like, you know, you always say this, it's never going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Like, if you want me to work harder and do more, say that to me. Thank you. Thank you for saying that, those people, sort of thing. Like Will Smith says, like, people say, if someone said to him, I dare, let's go on the treadmill, and I bet you I last longer than you. And he sort of said, there's two options. One is you're getting off the treadmill first, or two is I'm dying on this treadmill, because I'm either going to beat you or I'm going to die trying. And so it was literally that mindset that pushed me through all of the adversity, all of the hang-ups and so forth. So the people who I see quit or get hung up on the roller coaster, because it's always roller coaster. You know, you talk to Elon Musk, the most successful, wealthiest person in the world right now. I guarantee you, he's got challenges and highs and lows in his life. That never stops. That's life. But it's giving up and going back into comfort that kills people's dreams. You know, if they can just go, oh, you know, yeah, it's a bit hard. It is a bit hard. And like I said, everything worthwhile is challenging. It's a lot easier to sit on the couch and do nothing. But they don't have that delayed gratification view, or that view of, okay, if I pay the price now, you know, there's a price to pay. So you pay the price of consistency, or you pay the price of laziness. Consistency, you pay the price today. Laziness, you'll pay the price in the future. So it's sort of like credit, right? You're getting it on credit, and then at some point you got to make that payment. So, you know, that's why it's the why that does that. It's the why that pushes people through. Resiliency. You know, there's that story with the guy, and I won't, it's a long story, but basically it's a young guy that goes to a really successful guy, says, can you help me become successful? And he goes, yeah, meet me at the beach tomorrow morning, like 5 a.m. or whatever. Walks him out, holds his head underwater till this guy nearly passes out. And then he pops up and he says, when you want to succeed as much as you wanted to breathe, then I'll start working with you. You know, so that's like obviously going to the extreme circumstance. But if we look at the key things that we need to do here, we need to be consistent. So we need to schedule the activity. You know, I would say you probably want to do 10 hours a week, and you want to schedule that in and actually stick to it. And the 10 hours of income bringing activity. Now, the amount of business partners that we have that actually would do 10 hours of income bringing activity a week, it wouldn't be a massive amount. Now, I know that if you do that and you consistently do that, it has to happen. It can't be any other way, because there's so many people looking for what we have. You will find them. if you're consistent with it. And so, yeah, it's the number one thing that I think that stops people is having that little comfort zone to go back into, and not having that pay that price straight away. See, if I look at my own situation, and if I look at the situation of a lot of our really successful partners, they didn't have that. Like, life wasn't good just to go back into that little comfort zone. You know, if people are just making the bills, like, they've got a little bit of time where they can have some fun, all that. So I wasn't like that. Yeah, I had the bills covered and all of that, but I was miserable and I didn't want to be there. So I didn't have another option. One of our elite diamonds in the business, it was the same, just miserable, not happy. And so, not succeeding in here wasn't an option. So that's probably been the common driver that pushes people just to keep going, and pay the price now, so that the rest of the life's cool. And I often say, if we do what's easy, life will be hard. If we do what's hard, life will be easy. Never, and I try and say that to my kids, if something can be done, never just say, I'll get that done tomorrow, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You get it done today. So yeah, they're the common thing that I think stops people from having success is not being consistent and quitting. So if we go and having that comfort zone to go back into, so even if we've got the comfort zone to go back into, that's why I attach that what's my life going to be like if I don't achieve my why, like in the future, because that's not where it's at right now. But when you look in the future and really visualize it and live there, that's enough to motivate most people. So you can eat a Big Mac and fries and a thick shake today, but then if you eat that every day, what's that going to look like 10 years from now? So it's enough to make you not eat it today. So it's sort of like that with the business. Does that answer that? Hopefully.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thanks, Mike.
Awesome.
Cool. No more questions? All right, guys. Thanks so much for jumping on. The recording of this will go up into our YouTube resource and be available tomorrow. So have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you on the webinar Wednesday night.
Thanks, Mike. See you, everyone.
Bye.